we have a shipment with like 73 parts missing. And some of the tubes did not fare too well. Welcome back to the West Coast Ranch. We kind of got a mixed bag of tricks today. We need to go over this little disaster. We set those tubes in the last video and we got 7 inches of rain shortly after. But first we're gonna hop in the budget LR4. Still sounds good. But we are off to check on a new C8 that a buddy of mine and I detailed yesterday. Did a little ceramic on it. We're gonna see how that guy dried up. But other than that, we gotta check on some brackets for the building. And also we're gonna check in on that LS3 Defender, see what is up with that. Maybe even get a little work done on it. Would you look at that? We got some of our plates. These guys are freshly cut out. Those are gonna be the sides to our post brackets. All right, so storm is over. We're gonna kind of rip these off, see if we got any damage, and hopefully not, but don't want to leave them all covered up and getting all steamed. We got like 6-7 inches of rain the other night, and some of the tubes, 2 of them, did not fare too well. So some of that work we did last week was for naught, but the ones that were already out of the ground, I didn't think I needed to tent the plastic, but instead the water pooled up and was too much weight for the tube, essentially crushing it. Those are $22 a piece for big toilet paper cardboard rolls, which I think is kind of ridiculous, but another $45 down the drain. What's the difference? Here's the other one. Look at that. I don't think we can use that one. I'm gonna run the laser. We had them all matching each other, leveled out. So I'm gonna make sure none of them drop, because if they drop, I gotta fix those too. I don't need a lean-in building. Let's get the junk ones ripped out and get those fixed, I guess. Hey. Yeah, I think she's in pretty rough shape. Total confidence in all this going correctly, that's for sure. So we got the 2 that were messed up set back in. Looking pretty good again. I'll run the compactor around it once we have some actual concrete in there. I don't want to move the tubes because they are where they need to be. Alright, so we are headed back to the Menards. We're gonna get some more toilet paper rolls since we ruined 2. That seemed smarter in theory, but they've been sitting for a minute. All right, so we got the last of the tubes rocked in place. So that is all ready to go. We are going to attempt to pour some concrete. For that, running the old plate compactor over this guy. We're gonna make this thing a highway because we have to wheel a bunch of concrete. So we're gonna make probably like, what I figure, 27 trips from that general vicinity with wheelbarrows. So figure I make it as easy as possible. By the looks of the weather, I bet you couldn't guess who's pouring concrete today. Me. Yes, we have the ready mix truck coming in about an hour. So I covered everything back up this morning. Scheduled the truck yesterday for today. Check the weather. 0 rain all weekend. As you can see, that changed this morning. My luck. But we'll make her happen. Did go ahead and just grab some rebar though. Gonna set those guys in while we're pouring. I'll just kind of push them in. So hopefully our stuff is nice and strong then. As you might be able to guess by the fact that we are just filling some extra cardboard tubes with the leftover concrete, I did not get footage of us pouring the concrete. Apparently the GoPro didn't want to do that. But anyways, went pretty decent and we were able to get it all in the tubes. It was a bit of a rush. We only had 45 minutes to get it offloaded before we would get charged additional time, but we made it happen. That was a little over 3 yards.
Yeah, that ain't working too well. A little low.
Obviously, you can tell I know what I'm doing. So we had some extra concrete, some extra tubes. Decided to make a couple stools. I think we can put those around the fire pit. And I don't think the wind's gonna blow them over. No, I don't know if the camera shut off or not. So I don't know how much of this we have on video, but we have our concrete placed. No, now you can see I got some grading to do again. When we drilled the holes out, I kind of spread the excess out of there. And I didn't realize how much that was gonna screw me, but now I gotta dig around, then we'll get the Bob Kitty out and scoop this back down to where it needs to be. Big day. We'll be able to set some brackets here next week and then some lumber, and it'll actually look like we're doing something. Even though it doesn't look like it, this has been a tremendous amount of work. That one didn't go so great. A little tippy-tippy with the wheelbarrow. So we got to go to our improvised storage device. Yes, the Vitesse. We need some batteries and the riv nut tool, which this is not it. This is our 1/4-inch riveter. So let me try and find it. Not in there, must be at Ted's. But either way, moral of the story is if you have too much stuff, buy more Range Rovers so you can put more stuff in them. So most of you followed along know that we have been struggling with some parts procurement on the LS3 Defender swap. Right now we have a shipment with like 73 parts missing. The company that shipped it doesn't know where it went. One of the 3 that got stuck in the customs mess, we got 2 of them, but the big one is gone. Just got an email from DHL today trying to sort it out. So hopefully that gets remedied soon. I mean, otherwise, someone else is out there building a Defender for free, and that kind of sucks. But while we're at a standstill, I think we'll mess with these right here. We are going to start figuring out the wiring. I think I want the ECU and the fuse panel in this area if I can make it fit. And I'd like to get this all sorted before we paint the chassis. What we're going to do is we were probably going to drill and riv nut some threaded inserts in along the chassis to have a nice clean install. What are you doing? You are the goofiest thing I've ever met. Smells like a swimming pool. But this is the painless off-road harness with a weatherproof fuse box with a nice seal so we can keep dust and moisture out. Then we have our LS harness from GM Performance, made in the USA. That's quite the mess going on there. So this is for this guy in here. Then in this box over here, we have our engine control module, custom hood prop, courtesy of the lawn and garden department. This engine harness is also very nicely labeled, so that's generator or alternator. That'll go to the ignition switch. We have that one, engine coolant temperature sensor, mass airflow, which we have, but we won't have a placement until we do our intake piping, which we won't be able to do until we get our radiator, which we won't be able to put in until we get our radiator support pieces, which happen to be lost in the whole customs fiasco. So you kind of see where I'm sitting here. A lot of those pieces are critical for the next step, but we're gonna kind of work through what we can. I just want to lay this stuff out roughly. This isn't going to be final routing, but this gives me an idea of location, because we're gonna have to mount that somewhere. We're gonna have to make a washer reservoir, a coolant reservoir, and all the good stuff. So I want to get some of this figured out. We're gonna do a vintage air setup, poking through that hole. Our brake booster and stuff goes here. That is not how we're gonna route them. I don't wanna blow this hole out to fit these guys until I know that's where we're gonna put the ECU, because that would be silly to blow a hole in it prematurely. Nothing premature around here most of the time. So as long as we can place our ECM in here like planned, this will be all that we need to run from the engine harness into the cabin. So we're gonna have quite the spaghetti mess going on here, and I think this rear harness is long enough for like a Defender 320, not a Defender 90. Obviously that's not the routing, because that would be tacky. But I think something like that. So fuel gauge, temp gauge. So this is gonna be our gauges. It's gonna be our headlight switch, ignition switch, dimmer. That's gonna be our rear light controls, more ignition switch, radio. I think we'll do a separate video more in depth on getting the wiring in place. I don't want to short you guys, pun intended. Being we're waiting on our rear lights and everything, it is nice that we have plenty of length, so at least we'll be prepped if parts ever show up. All right, we're a couple days later. Let's see how these guys are. Not perfectly round, but solid. They should work. Those guys will be completely underground anyways, so as long as they're tough, we don't need them to look good, but they do look decent for a newbie like myself. We need to get to the star of the show and unwrap our stools and see whether our extra concrete is worth anything. Don't think anybody's gonna be able to steal them. We got the building inspector coming. What do you think? They're gonna be any good? You can step on it. I gotta check the next one now. What about that one? That's what we call solid. Now I'm kind of wishing we would have, but being this was just the extra stuff that was left over in the ready mix truck, we didn't vibrate these or anything like those. Really kind of rough looking. So I guess it kind of goes with these shirts with our grunge look. These are rustic concrete stools. So this was completely on purpose, 100%. All right, so I think the next step on the building is to get all our little columns, piers, whatever you want to call them, to grade. Then we can snap our chalk lines across, lay out all our brackets, get our post up, and then we'll have our grade boards at that. And these, not these are stools, but those will be actually 9 1/4 inches below real actual grade, because we're gonna have 6 inches of concrete and 3 1/4 inches of gravel on there for the base for the concrete. But with that being said, I want to try and put out a few more videos a week, and in our current situation with the shop build and a few of the different Land Rovers getting worked on, it might be more of a mixed bag of tricks like this video was, with a few different things getting worked on in each video. If that works for you guys, let me know. It might just be easier for me to put out a couple more frequent, shorter videos. If you think that's a good idea, comment down below. And if you find this entertaining, watching some guy who doesn't know what he's doing build a shop, make sure to give us a like. It always helps. Appreciate you guys watching. We will catch you on the next one. Here's the extra weight out of the truck's chute. If I called that art, someone would probably pay me for it.